I'm Amy. Welcome to the kitchen at the Blue OK. Today we're making marinated portobello mushrooms. And this recipe is a really great recipe to know because we put these mushrooms in a lot of different things. Sometimes we wrap them up in spring rolls. Sometimes we put them in our marinated kale salad. Sometimes we'll marinate them and put them in a corn tamale. They're just a great thing to know how to make. And what ends up happening even more of the time is that we intend to roll them up in something and people come along and just eat them plain by the handful. Kids love them, adults love them, love to snack on them. They just taste delicious. And they also substitute very well in ingredients texture-wise for something like a meat or tofu or protein that some people are used to and looking for in their spring roll or in their tamale, something that has a little bit more of that dense texture. So we really like them for that, and they're flavorful, delicious, and very, very good for you. Great for the blood, and they do have protein in them. So without further ado, the marinated portobello mushroom. What I like to do to clean my portobellos is not actually wash them. I just take a rag and I brush off any dirt, any of the skin that wants to come off, anything that shouldn't be there, and I just take a towel and kind of dust that off. I usually take a little bit of the stem out. This one has the whole stem already out, but sometimes I'll just trim the stem back so that it's about the same width or height as my mushroom, just so I don't have an unusual shape, but you could leave most of the stem on. And then I like to cut them in thick pieces. Some people like them thinner, and depending on what you're making, you might do thick strips or you might do smaller chunks, just depending on the texture that you want to bring to your dish. So for this one, I'm doing strips that you could roll into a spring roll. So I'm going to go about that thick and really get a nice thick piece, because when you put them in the dehydrator, they are going to shrink up a little bit. And that's part of what gets the flavor all the way soaked through the portobello, is the dehydration process. So just something like that. And then I'm going to show you how to make the marinade. Right here I have a little bit of nama shoyu, which is a raw soy sauce, and I also have about a cup of aminos, coconut aminos. And this is a great product. You may or may not have heard of it. It's by Coconut Secret, and they make a raw coconut amino from the coconut tree, and it has less sodium than soy sauce and all the aminos that you need to help build protein in the body. So those of you who are worried about getting enough protein, it's a really great way and very flavorful. You could also use Bragg's liquid aminos if you're already familiar with them. They're a great product too. Also, a little bit of olive oil. I've got some shredded ginger here. I've got a clove of garlic grated up, and then a little bit of cayenne pepper. And you could do the cayenne pepper to taste. Now these mushrooms I'm doing for, you could roll them up in sushi, or you could put them with our marinated kale salad. So it has sort of an Asian flavor with the ginger and the garlic and the nama shoyu. You could also marinate these in, if you wanted to go in a corn tamale, you could add jalapeno, cumin, green bell pepper, and you could take the flavor of the mushrooms to a different place. So this is just a basic idea of a marinade. A marinade's basically anything that tastes good to you, made into a sauce, poured over your mushroom, and dehydrated on there. So play around with it. This is just a suggestion. So what I'm going to do, and I find this is the easiest way to do a marinade, I pour it right into a jar. I'm going to take all my aminos and my nama shoyu, my olive oil, and then I'm going to get, because you want your oil to combine with the nama shoyu. So I'm going to get the ginger in there, the garlic, and that cayenne right in there. And then I'm just going to shake this up really well to get it nice and combined. And one of the reasons I like to do it in a jar is because I'm going to pour the marinade that I don't use, that the mushrooms don't absorb, right back into this jar and stick it in the refrigerator and save it for later. So it's good to start with the jar. You dirty one less bowl if you're going to pour it right back in here. So get it nice and mixed up. Set it off to the side here, and I'll just show you a few of the mushrooms that I already have marinating here. I use this, it's actually a ceramic tea set, but the weight of the ceramic on top of this bottom dish helps hold the mushrooms down. So I've already started some mushrooms marinating. I'm going to put some fresh ones in right here on top and pour the marinade over, just so you can get the idea of how we do this. And again, you can slice them thick, you can slice them thin, you can slice them into small pieces, small chunks, or long strips. And let's see, I'm just going to pour this marinade right over the top. So right here I've got this jar of sauce, and right over the top it goes. Trying to cover the mushrooms. And don't worry about using the whole jar or having excess, because that's the point of saving the jar, is that whatever the mushrooms don't absorb, you're going to go ahead and pour back into the jar and save for your next round of mushrooms. So you see they're covered, and then put a little weight on top if you can, if you have something that you can put a little weight on top. So you could use a pie pan with a dish on top, or a Tupperware container, whatever you have that would serve this purpose. I just happened to find this. It works really well for us here at the cafe. So I set aside a few of those mushrooms that I already had marinating so I could show you just how to pop them right onto the dehydrator screen. So what you would do is leave these mushrooms marinating for, maybe an hour or two. 2 hours usually gets them good and soaked in the juices and all the flavors. After an hour or two, I just take those soaked mushrooms, lay them out on the dehydrator screen like this. And what I like to do is lay it on the plain screen, and I keep one of the screens that has the Teflex underneath it to catch the drippings. So I put this on one shelf, and I put this on the shelf below, so that if some of that sauce drips off in my dehydrator, it gets caught instead of going all over the bottom of the dehydrator. So I'm going to put this right into the dehydrator. These dehydrate for about an hour or 2 hours, up to the texture that you like, at about 105 degrees. That's where we like to dehydrate everything at here. So I'm going to put these in the dehydrator and bring out a few that I already have dehydrating to show you the final product. So here are the finished product. They'll look a little bit goopy from having been in there together, but they taste absolutely delicious. And you'll be able to tell that they're done because the texture of them will be a little bit more chewy. They won't be so spongy. They'll have dried a little bit. So what I'm going to do is take these and put them right onto a plate. And the best way to tell if your dehydrated mushrooms are done to the degree that you like them is to taste them. So, very, very nice. I like mine a little more done. Some people like them a little more raw, but I really love that chewy texture. Just delicious. Now, if you found the flavor too strong for any reason, you could actually use less of the soy, less of the namashoyu. You could use a little water to water it down instead. Or if you like this really full flavor that we have going in this mushroom, you'd leave it exactly as is. And then what I would tend to do with this plate of mushrooms that I have here is add it right to my marinated kale salad. This recipe is actually online already, so if you have any questions about how to make a marinated kale salad, you could just check that recipe out online. But what I like to do is take some of my marinated mushrooms and put them right on top of a marinated kale salad or right inside a spring roll. They just add something really special to any dish you make. So if you have any questions or comments about this dish here, please leave them right here on my website. And remember, the eating gorilla always comes in peace.